In today's video, we're talking about an exercise called sitting heel raises with block. Sitting heel raises with block is a great way to strengthen your hip flexors while also getting them to coordinate and work better with the knees, the ankles, and even the toes. This is a sitting exercise, and all you need is a bench and a yoga block or a cushion or an exercise ball, something that you can stick between your legs and squeeze. So let's get into the instructions for sitting heel raises with block. It's really easy. All you need is a yoga block or a cushion or something to squeeze between your legs here. I'm going to recommend using the kind of middle dimension of this block. So you can see I'm turning it this way so that my knees are slightly less than or just at hip width apart when I'm squeezing this block. Secondly, I want to make sure that my ankles are directly underneath my knees, meaning I don't have them sitting out here or sitting out in front of my knees, and that my feet are pointed straight ahead. That means that this line between my middle two toes is pointing straight ahead. It's going to feel like you're a little bit duck-footed, but this is actually when those middle two toes are pointing straight ahead. That is when you are pointing, as when your feet are pointing straight ahead. So from here, we just need to make sure we maintain this curve in the upper back, or in the lower back rather. The arch of your back should be in a constant state. We don't want to be going like this with the upper body. Now, when you first start, you may have to rock forward a bit when you try lifting these heels. But when you do that, you don't want to slouch at the same time. That arch should be maintained. And the core part of this exercise is squeezing this block lightly. We're talking like 10 to 20% of your max effort. We're just trying to make sure it doesn't fall. The real focus that we need to have here is lifting from the hip flexors. Now on video, it might look like I'm pushing up off of my toes here. That is not at all the correct form. All the work should be coming from here, and I'm just letting my toes relax on the ground. What I want you to imagine is if someone had a piece of paper underneath your toes, when you get to the top here, they should be able to pull that piece of paper out with zero effort. The toes are just barely touching the ground. And the movement is very simple. We're just lifting from the hips and letting the toes rest on the ground. And we're trying to lift with the same strength in each of the hips. That is really the core purpose of the block. Without the block, I might be lifting the right hip or the left hip higher than the other one. The block really makes it so that I don't have a choice but to lift those hips to the same amount. And so you can see I've got my shoulders directly above my hips, and my head is in a natural position. For me, that's pretty close to over my shoulders. I don't want you looking up trying to get your ears over your shoulders. Over time, as you can persistently do your menus, your head will come back. And usually you're going to end up doing 3 sets of 10. If that's not hard enough, you can try going 3 sets of 20. But I'll tell you what, most people starting out are going to have trouble just doing 3 sets of 10, because this is going to put a lot of demand on your hip flexors, a lot more exertion than you might expect to do this exercise, especially when I'm keeping the upper body relatively still. If you have to go forward a little bit, that's okay, as long as you maintain that arch in your lower back. I don't want to see this type of motion. So that is all there is for sitting heel raises with block.